but we're excited to do this and have an event like this for everybody. We have tried to stay active at OCU with our external engagement. We had our Abe Lemons golf tournament a couple of Fridays ago, which was another great event. Our men's golf program had their annual Champions Cup, which was another good event. And now we're really excited about announcing something we haven't tried in the past, but that is an online auction. Many of you have attended our Sports Spectacular and are familiar with the auction that goes with that. We have taken a lot of those items and just moved them online, and we're excited about it. And it is now open. It opened at noon, and I am going to give you the link. I'm sure most everybody on this call has seen it, but I am going to show you that site again, and I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Did the wrong one. I'm going to put it in the chat. It was in there earlier so that everybody can see that as well. And this continues to go to the wrong screenshot, but we'll put it in the chat so you can go there and check it out. Again, we're really excited. There is one option to give to scholarships. It's just a buy it now option. That's something that's going to directly impact our student athletes. And so hope you'll take a look at that item. But a lot of the other things I think you'll be familiar with from in the past. So check it out, share that far and wide. With that said, I'm going to turn things over to our Director of Athletics, Jim Abbott, just to kind of get us started, talk a little bit about athletics at large, and then we'll move on down the agenda. Jim?
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to everyone who's joining us today. This is my 19th year as athletic director, and suffice it to say, it is the most unusual year during my career, but it's interesting to look back and to think about how many luncheons we've had and standing in front of the room, and I think I can speak for everybody who's here on our panel today to tell you that we miss that. There's a lot of unusual things happening, but I will also tell you that there's a lot of the usual things happening. It's quite common when I get here in the morning, normally around 7:30 or so, to see our cheer team practicing and to see our dance team practicing. And earlier, just before we came on the call, I saw our volleyball folks out on the court and our basketball teams practicing. So we're doing a lot of the normal things. And when we talk about normal, some of normal is staring at a computer screen. Earlier today, we had our athletic staff meeting, and that staff meeting took place just like this session is taking place virtually. And so we're still active and engaged, but certainly things are different. We entered this semester with the plan to compete this fall. Our plan was really to start right about now, to start in mid-fall and to play volleyball and soccer and basketball. As things have developed with the pandemic, primarily as we contemplate what's happening in Oklahoma City, and then also considering what the NAIA has done, which is they have moved fall championships to the spring. The university ultimately decided that really with the health and safety of both our students and our coaches and our faculty and staff and our community in mind, we decided against competing in the fall. In fact, the only sport that we're competing in right now is golf, both men's and women's golf. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that from Coach McCauley, who's slated to speak. I'll tell you, having to inform our coaches and students of that decision was very difficult, but I can't tell you how proud I am of those two groups with how they were able to react to it. I think maybe for some there was some relief because there was just an awful lot of uncertainty about how are we going to do things, how are we going to travel. And so we have been practicing in small groups. our efforts in athletics are to continue to try to grow that. We have just, for example, gotten some approval to do some larger things like scrimmage. And so this week alone, for example, and Coach Covington will talk about this, but we've gotten approval to scrimmage 6-on-6 in volleyball. And nobody months ago ever thought about playing volleyball while wearing a mask, but we're going to be doing that. So in general, I want you to know that our purpose and what we do hasn't changed. We're here to provide opportunities and to allow young people to pursue a great education and to pursue the sport that they're passionate about. And we are doing that, really with the only exception now that in any sport other than golf, we're not competing until January. So in the meantime, Chris mentioned the auction. Many of you know that for nearly 30 years, we've hosted an event called the Sports Spectacular. It wasn't called that when we started. We just called it the Athletic Auction, actually. And so we postponed the event that was scheduled in April, and frankly, it was supposed to happen tonight. We have postponed today's event to happen next spring. But in the meantime, a lot of our opportunity to raise money has been hampered by our inability to get together. And we were successful in collecting lots of cool things to auction off. And so I encourage you to take a look at the link and look at those auction items. I really encourage you to share that with your friends and family who might have an interest in bidding. Things are a little different for us, but like I said, we are operating the best we can with business as usual. I think I'm going to end now. I'm really excited. Chris is going to introduce our new men's wrestling coach, Nate Gomez. Before he does, I just want to tell you how fortunate I feel to have Nate joining our staff and working with our team. Nate has been a great addition, and I'm super excited about what the future holds for that program. So Chris, thanks so much. And thanks again to everyone who's joining us today.
Thank you, Jim. And Jim, that was a really good intro for Nate. I don't have a whole lot to add, although I will say getting to know Nate has been fantastic. He's very excited about wrestling. He's very excited about this program, and he's already out in the community getting people excited about OCU wrestling. He comes to us from UCO. And Nate, I'll let you kind of take it from there. But Nate Gomez, the new head men's wrestling coach at OCU.
Yeah, thanks. So the Oklahoma wrestling community in general is a pretty small world. You know, Oklahoma, I always joke around, you're one person away from knowing every person in the state. You know, you may not know that person, but you know somebody that knows that person. And Oklahoma wrestling is even tighter than that. I mean, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's dad wrestled everybody's dad. I mean, it just is generational sport. And so for those in the Oklahoma wrestling community, I think I'm kind of a familiar face. But for those who aren't, I grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma. Was a state runner-up there. We got 2 kids on our team from Yukon, Chase Vincent and Jackson Gilmore. Chase is ranked #1 in the country. Both kids are just outstanding human beings. And so I'm excited about that. I went to University of Central Oklahoma wrestling scholarship. And in 2002, we were national champions as a team. And I got to be a part of that group. It was a special team. And it has shaped me for the rest of my life, my time there at being a college athlete. And so after college wrestling, I served the sport as an official. I was a wrestling official. I moved up very quickly, probably maybe quicker than I should have. I was calling some, D1 NCAA matches, and I was in the hot seat pretty quick. So it's a tough deal to be out there in the middle and having coaches yell at you from both sides. So, but I served through the sport through that, and then recently been serving wrestling through FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I served as the state rep for FCA wrestling. And really, that's how I got affiliated with Oklahoma City University. Just was around the team last year. I got to come into the room and speak to the guys and just encourage them. And then Sam Hayes-Winkle said, "Hey, next time you come, bring your whistle," and he let me run a few practices. And so I got to know this team and the kind of kids that were in this room. And through my career post wrestling, people would ask me, "Hey, do you ever want to coach? Do you ever have a desire to coach?" And my answer was always, it would have to be the right team. It would have to be the right situation. I don't think I could be a high school coach. I don't know. My answer was always vague. I don't know. But when I heard that Sam was moving on, I reached out to him and just said, "Man, I'm praying for you, and and these guys. I know how special they are to you, and I know what kind of group they are." And his message back to me was, "Hey, are you at all interested in coaching this team?" And something in me I knew right away, man, this was it. And so one thing led to another, and here I am. So we have a special group of kids, and I know a lot of coaches say that, but in the wrestling world, it's very rare to have a group of kids like this who they don't just work hard. They aren't just good wrestlers. They're good human beings. They're good people. They love each other. They do the right things. And so I really feel like I'm coming in to kind of protect the positivity and to keep the ball rolling. Sam has done an incredible job. I don't know that I could have been somebody who, turned the ship around kind of guy like he was, but there's a lot of positive momentum going on with this team. And I look at myself as just coming in and putting hands on what he's built, and it's a blessing. I knew what I was getting into, and so far so good. It's been great. I've been so impressed with these young men. The warm welcome I've received from the staff and from the administration has been just amazing. The leadership at OCU, this is a special place, and I'm thankful to be here and just excited. So,
Nate, I had a question that came in offline. Yeah. Just kind of talking about wrestling in the state of Oklahoma and how strong it is,
yes,
and kind of your thoughts and your vision for capturing that talent for OCU and where we can go with that kind of group in our community.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. That came from somebody who's I don't know who it was, but I can tell by the tone of the question that it's a Oklahoma wrestling fan. So, we have a couple of guys on our team from out of state, from not Oklahoma, and I love these kids. I mean, like they're here. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel like I want a team full of Oklahoma kids, and that's no disrespect to the kids we have from out of state. I love them, and they're converted as far as I'm concerned. They're now Oklahoma wrestlers, but there's so much talent in the state of Oklahoma, and really their opportunities to go to the next level are not a lot. OU, OSU, UCO, OCU, and I feel like Oklahoma City University should be a team that represents the state of Oklahoma in terms of wrestling. So that's my mindset. People may not agree with that, but that's kind of how I view it. I feel like every team in Oklahoma that's a college should view that way. But there's a ton of talent in Oklahoma in the wrestling community, and there's so much good. It's not just talented kids. It's not just good kids. It's a good thing. There's so much. I can't even put a word to it. It's just the Oklahoma wrestling community is strong. It's positive. It's good. I believe that OCU should represent that as best as we can.
Fantastic. I should have said that if anyone from the audience has a question, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen there. Nate, we're going to give you one more question just to kind of hold you on the screen for a second in case anybody does have a question. What weight did you wrestle at in college?
That's a good question. I wrestled at 145 in high school, and I came in around 142 was what I thought I was going to weigh, and the weights changed. People who don't remember college, there used to be 118, 126, and so during that year there had been 2 kids who passed away. They associated with pulling weight wrong. Everything changed in the sport. They changed the weight certification process changed. The hydration on the weight classes changed. So the weight became 149 for me. And there were 14 guys in my recruiting class at UCO, and only 2 of us didn't quit. The college room was tough, and it was a culture unlike anything I had ever experienced. There was a 5th-year senior named Matt Server from Tuttle, and he picked me as his workout partner. And at the end of every day, after beating me to death, he would say, "Hey, you be here tomorrow," And so I just kept showing up. And then when Matt graduated, I filled that spot. My senior year it was kind of a unique situation. There were two guys at the same weight, and we were both ranked nationally. And I felt like I could make the jump better to 157 and help our team. It turned out to be a really good decision, and we were national champions as a result of it. But I finished at 157, was recruited around 142, 149, but I didn't pull a lot of weight. I'm not a believer that you get skinny and you're better. I believe that, you do it right and you have a lot more fun during your season as a result. So
yeah.
Long answer to an easy question.
No, that's
asking
awesome.
a wrestler what weight they wrestled at is like you're gonna get an answer. So
we do have a question come in. What does Nate need for fans to help with related to the team?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think if I look at my job as not to bring in a lot of positivity. Like, my job is not to rally the troop. My job as a leader, I feel like, is to remove obstacles and to remove negativity from these guys' path. And so I want to do everything I can to remove obstacles from their path to help them succeed on and off the mat. And some of those obstacles come with, financial challenges. It costs a lot to come to OCU. And in order to represent the state of Oklahoma and the wrestling community in Oklahoma well, we need some financial support. We need some donor participation, and we just need some involvement. And so, but I think we have to earn that. I think we want to be involved in the community. We want to represent the community well. We want to do our part as well. But for people who believe in us and have the ability to help, and we're going to put those dollars to work, and we're going to stretch every penny. But I want to be able to look at a kid and say, man, you can come to OCU because there's people who believe in you and believe in our program and want to help you succeed as well. I don't want to look at a kid and say, man, I'd love to have you, but we can't afford you, So that's kind of a vague answer, but that's how they can do to help us. And then just I think I tell our guys all the time, the Oklahoma wrestling community is cheering for you. It doesn't matter where you went to high school. Your crosstown rival, they're not your rival anymore once you go to the college level. You represent that area of your state. You represent the state, and they want you to succeed. They're cheering for you. They're pulling for you. They remember watching you in high school, and they love watching you succeed on the college level. So they're pulling for us, and I know that, and I feel that, and I've received just so much encouragement. It's been a blessing. So, but for those special people who can contribute financially, man, we're gonna take advantage of all those dollars. So once again, kind of a long answer to a not so easy question.
Yeah, we're excited about getting out there and meeting those people too. I'm excited to take Nate on some visits to get to know some people. With it being 12:21, Coach has practice at 12:30, so we're gonna let him bow out now. I hope everybody will get to know Coach Gomez, and once we get the schedule set, come out and see him. But Coach, thanks. We're really excited to have you. Thanks for joining us. All right, so
Absolutely.
Moving on. We're going to talk to women's golf coach Marty McCauley. Marty is a little bit unique in how the fall went, in that his team has actually had some competitions and has another one on the horizon. As we know, golf is a little more created for social distancing. But Marty, if you don't mind, just kind of talk about how the fall has been and maybe what the outlook is moving forward.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Very excited to be here. First of all, we are very appreciative, very fortunate that we are actually getting to compete this fall. Obviously, we're the only team on campus getting to do so. And then in the realm of college golf in general, I think only probably between 25 and 30% of schools are playing college golf. So very appreciative to our administration for allowing us to do so. We've had 2 events so far. We opened up playing Southwestern Christian's event at Lake Hefner here in Oklahoma City, and played really solid the first day. And then the second day, hurricane remnants came in and wiped it out. But we finished second place, losing to Redlands Community College by 7 or 8 shots, but played very well for us. I'll back up a little bit. We were without our top player, Natalie Goff. She's a 2-time first-team All-American, and she suffered a broken arm right before the season started. So every one of the girls really stepped up and filled the role that we're missing with Natalie. So that was a solid event. And then we hosted an event at Gaillardia and actually won by 67 shots, which is a school record for us. So that was an awesome performance. All 5 girls finished 1 through 5. Senior Claire Hill won individually. Senior Ariana Medina finished runner-up, and it was just a great team performance. One of the things that's really unique right now is because of COVID-19, we're playing all 5 players together in one group. Usually you're paired in a group of 3 with 2 other girls from other schools. So that's been a big change for young ladies to compete in that manner. Mostly just at a competitive standpoint, you kind of, when you're playing with somebody else, kind of compete against them, and now we're playing together. So it takes away that competitive standpoint where you're looking at your opponent and knowing where they stand compared to where you stand. But I could not be more proud of the way the girls have played in the first 2 events. And we are hosting the Sidney Cox Invitational Monday and Tuesday at Lincoln Park. And we have 16 women's teams coming and 13 men's teams coming. So we're very excited to host that and close out our fall with that event.
You know, Marty, it's interesting that the tournament is named after Sydney, and kind of leads into my next question. This is your 10th year, and I know Sydney was a big part of that. You know, talk a little bit about kind of these 10 years, and but also, you know, maybe also her and what she meant to the program.
So I'll say, yeah, I just finished my 10th season as a head coach here, and I was an assistant coach for 2 years before. And one thing that's really cool to me is when I first got here 10 years ago, Kristin was an assistant coach. So very happy to have Kristin back for sure. Same with Billy Martin. He was an assistant here when I first got here. So I think that one thing I'd like to say is, like, the OCU family is very strong. I think that it's tough to escape it once you're part of it, whether you want to or not. It's in your blood. I mean, and it's a really cool thing. So when I first got here, one of the first people I talked to was Sydney. She had graduated 2 years before I got here, and I reached out to her to ask her what her time here was like. You know, she was a local kid. She grew up in Chandler, Oklahoma. I'm from Cushing. They're 20 minutes apart, and she went to school in Edmond. And so one of my visions for our program was to find as many Sidney Coxes as we possibly can. People that are local, that are going to come to OCU and bleed OCU blue. And she certainly was somebody who helped me as a head coach try to formulate how I wanted to run our program. Nate had mentioned he likes having, you know, or he wants to recruit a lot of Oklahoma kids. And I think that anytime you start a foundation with anything, you try to win your own backyard first and foremost, and then you spread out from there. And you never know what that's going to look like. But one thing for sure in the last 10 years, the one thing I could say for sure is I'm very grateful to be here. And this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to, hopefully, if I'm fortunate enough in my career, coaching at some point. Who knows when that might be, but more than anything, what makes any program great is going to be the kids you bring in. And I feel that here at OCU, we have the academic side, the athletic side, and the social side to bring in some of the greatest kids you could ever imagine. And the support from Jim and Kelly and Greg and yourself, Chris, helped make that a reality. And I think that's one of the biggest parts for me personally. If I look back over a 10-year period, any successes we had could be because of that.
Yeah. Marty, a really important question that needs to be asked of you today. Everybody can see what's behind you there. Marty is our resident rock and roller. What was your favorite Van Halen song?
My favorite Van Halen song by far is Eruption.
Oh, man. And Eddie being front and center on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Since I went there, can you share with us your three top bands? I think number one would definitely be Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam for sure. You can see I'm in my Pearl Jam room. Been to a lot of live Pearl Jam shows and have a poster from each one of them. Number two would be The Who. I absolutely love The Who. I was able to go see them in Las Vegas in 2017, and it was mind-blowing. Number three would have to be the Foo Fighters. I've been to several of their concerts, and Dave Grohl is just absolutely amazing.
This is why I love you, Marty. Hey, one last thing, Marty. Can you talk a little bit about the outlook for next year? I know you've got some incredible recruits coming in that you've kind of taken out from under some of the bigger schools.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of touch on that just a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 6 girls committed for next year. We're going to have a big signing day for them here in Oklahoma City on November 13th, Friday the 13th, which is personally one of my favorite days. So we're going to have a nice signing day. We'll start with Maddie Camus from Kingfisher. She is ranked number 43 in the country out of every junior golfer. Number 12 in the class of 2021, so the 12th best golfer in the country. So we are very fortunate to have Maddie joining us. Reagan Cheney is from Plainview High School in Ardmore, Oklahoma. She's ranked in the top 300 in the country, which is still a great ranking. Those are probably, if I look back over the 10 years, the 2 highest ranked players we've ever signed. I know Maddie is for sure, and I'm fairly certain Reagan will be ranked higher than anyone else. Last weekend, Reagan won a tournament at Early Wine here in Oklahoma City and shot 68-67 and won by 11 shots. So shooting 9 under par is pretty impressive. We have 2 Texas girls also coming up. Jamie Welsh is from Coppell, Texas. Absolutely great kid. Great golfer. Last weekend, she also shot her personal best of 70 in a high school tournament. And she also has a 35 on the ACT. So she has aspirations of going to medical school, and whatever she does in life, she'll be great. We have Paige Wood from McKinney High School, McKinney, Texas, also home of Miss Sophia, who is the best setter in the country for our volleyball program. And we're trying to get her to play golf, but she's just not super into it. But Paige is a wonderful kid, left-handed player, little bitty, but has lots of fire and will be a great addition for us. And then we are also adding Megan Charles from Sand Springs High School. Megan's sister, Emily, attends OCU and is very active on campus and works in the admissions department. So we're happy to be adding Megan. And then Morgan Palermo from Parker, Colorado is our final recruit. Her uncle, Taylor Artman, played on the men's team, and I believe the year was 2013. He made a putt to win a national championship for the men's program. So his niece Morgan's going to be joining us. So very excited about those 6 coming in. We'll have 3 seniors returning next year. So have a very solid team next year, and can't wait to get those girls on campus in the fall.
Last thing, Marty, just what time do you guys tee off at Lincoln next week? I know, as Jim was mentioning to a group this morning, golf's not always the easiest sport to watch, but it is a pretty nice way to spend some time on a Monday and Tuesday. What time will you all be going off?
We will tee off on Monday on the East course at 10:36 off the first hole. And then on Tuesday, we'll tee off on the West course at 10:36.
Fantastic.
We'll be the last group off both days.
Awesome. Hope some people can get out there and enjoy it. Looks like the weather's going to be good, I think. So hopefully we can get out there. Thanks, Marty. So to close things out, most people say ladies first. I think we probably went the other way and just saved the best for last with these two. As you can see on your screen, they're both named Kristin Covington, which is very impressive that Kristin has gotten one of her best players to change her name. But Kristin, I'm gonna let you talk. Kristin's our head volleyball coach and got here and had a ton of success last year. So Chris, but this time of year, usually you are playing volleyball and we're getting ready for a national tournament coming up. But talk a little bit about how different your fall has been and what you guys have been doing. And introduce Sophia as well, please.
Yeah. Well, like Marty, I just feel so grateful to be here on campus. I think, forget about playing. One of the biggest complaints after everyone was sent home in the spring was that everyone had to go back and move back home, and they were ready to get back out of their parents' house. So the girls love each other so much. I mean, they just have such a connection. So it was really exciting just to get back on campus, whether or not we were playing or practicing, just to get around each other. So like Chris, the number one question I get from people associated to OCU and not associated to OCU is, what are we doing right now since we're not playing? I'd be lying if I say that whenever we found out we couldn't play, it was a little disappointing, but it was a great switch. It was just like a switch flipped right in the middle of our meeting, and everyone started talking about things that we could do to get better. And so we switched what we were going to do. Instead of ramping up for a season, we're fine-tuning some things. We have 4 freshmen come in. They're all local kids. And you never get the opportunity to work with your freshmen for a whole semester, and then they have their first semester of play. Normally it's you throw them right into the fire, and then you work on the things that really need some fine-tuning in the spring. So that's the benefit of this. Also, really focusing on our academics. We finished last year with a 3.6 GPA. As a team, and our goal this year is a 3.7. Marty barely beat us last year, and I texted him a message expressing how disappointed I was that he beat me. But so we, that was kind of something that we were really looking to. The biggest challenge I think for us has been trying to pace ourselves. Normally we're used to a 4-month season, and now we go from a 4-month season to a 7 to 8 month season. And how do we not push ourselves too hard? So as Jim mentioned, we were very, very lucky enough to be able to start doing some scrimmaging this week. We had our first little scrimmage yesterday, and the girls wore their masks, and maybe they didn't like it, but we found out that you can wear a mask and play volleyball. So lots of breaks and lots of sanitizing, but it was so good to see him on the court. A little rusty, but we've been doing small group stuff and a lot of weightlifting. We started out with just some conditioning, and then we moved in, like Jim said, we've just kind of been progressing, and now we're into some scrimmaging, and we'll do that twice a week. So we're super excited. I'm so lucky to have a great group of upperclassmen. They just watching them yesterday in our scrimmage, talking to the freshmen and adjusting things, and it's just the support that I have from them is just unbelievable. I mean, this team, they just want to win, and they know that if they want to win a national championship, everyone has to be on the same page. And so I'm just so lucky that they bought in. Sophia being one of our captains, she's kind of helped spearhead that, getting those kids to where we need to be. So we're just ramping up, and we're ready to start practice back up in January, and we'll start our season in February. Our national championship got moved April 27th to May 1st. So it'll be very, very different. But like I said, we're just so excited to be on campus and around each other. And that's what we're looking at right now. And then gearing up in the spring for our season.
Great. Sophia, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know Marty mentioned your hometown, but tell us a little about yourself, and also just kind of share what your fall's been like. I know what Coach says, but maybe it's not as fun for you. I don't know, but just kind of share your story a little bit.
So hold on. So I didn't mean that she shouldn't play golf. I just meant I've seen her swing a club before. And so
Marty said my swing is amazing.
Yeah,
Marty's very nice.
it's really good.
So
good.
I didn't introduce Sophia, but Sophia is our junior setter. She was an All-American last year. She was the SAC Most Valuable Player. She was the Region Player of the Year. And she managed to keep a 3.8 GPA throughout that whole thing. So go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay. So I'm Sophia. I'm from McKinney, Texas. I'm a biomedical sciences major, and this is my second year with Coach. It's my junior year here. Basically, our fall, it started off a little frustrating, a little bit disappointing, obviously, since we would love to be playing, we'd love to be winning, competing, but really the greatest part, like Coach said, is just getting our freshmen integrated into the team. Normally, we kind of throw them in there, sometimes playing time's off, and we don't really get to like play with our freshmen as much as we would like to, but now we're using this fall to just prepare, get them all together. We just feel like a team. For a while when we were doing small groups, it was upsetting because we didn't really feel like a team at first. We were having to do small groups. We didn't get to see each other as much, but now that we're scrimmaging, we get to all be together twice a week, and it's really fun just to see that our freshmen are like becoming one of us, and it's exciting to be playing with them. We're really just focusing on accountability, because that's probably the hardest thing. Is since we're not competing, it's hard to stay focused in practice and focus on our end goal, which is a national title. And so we're just focusing on holding ourselves accountable, being comfortable. It's easy to, or working hard with ourselves and each other for every practice, every workout, in the weight room, conditioning, whatever we're doing, we're going 100%, but also taking care of our bodies, using that rest when we need to, and not killing ourselves before we even get to start playing. Consistency was one of our biggest goals for the fall when we thought we were going to be playing. Consistency for every game. It's easy, since we kind of dominate usually in conference, it's easy to get comfortable and kind of fall back in competition, maybe have some teams take us to 4 or 5 sets when they shouldn't be. But now we're just using that idea of consistency to work harder, get better, faster, stronger in the weight room and conditioning on the court, playing 6-on-6, small group practice, whatever we're doing, just making sure we're always being consistent what we're doing, keep staying level-headed. And like she said, cleaning up our game, fine-tuning some things, really focusing on our technique and playing a clean game. Like we said, our first scrimmage was a little bit rusty, but it's fun it's expected. We have 4 new players, and we've never stepped on the court with each other. It's been 6 months since even our returners have played together. So it's just kind of hopping back onto the court, getting into things, but it's exciting. We're going to have a really strong team this year. We're excited.
Sophia, 2 things. First of all, pronounce your last name for everybody, because if you see it, I don't know if people would say it right.
It's Salak.
Salak, okay. Because some have said, well, how about that Salak girl and things
Yeah,
like that.
it's a tough one. It's
yeah.
you don't pronounce correctly.
Sophia just loves me so much that she had to steal my name for this one. Yeah. So sorry it's not on the screen.
I'm just obsessed with Coach.
Chris, I think it ought to be shellac, to be honest with you, because she shellacks our opponents.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Sophia, do you remember one of my favorite memories of last year was the conference championship, and I stood by Marty McCauley during that, and I think he had a bet with you. I don't know what the wager was, and I don't know that I want to share, but he was thinking you couldn't get to a certain number, and you blew that away. Do you remember? Do either one of y'all remember what that ended up being?
I know. I didn't know he thought that I couldn't do it. I thought he just bet that if I got, I think, was it 50 or 60 assists?
I think it was 50 assists.
50?
Yeah.
50 assists, then he would give me a shirt, and I got 56 assists. 58.
Yeah. You crushed it.
Yeah. It was enjoyable watching him panic through that. I get this in 2 sets. No, that's great. So, yeah. So I think we'll definitely go with Sophia Salak once we finally start playing. But yeah, Marty, do you have any questions for your for the coach who's in the office next to you? I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to ask.
I would like to ask her, so during the whole COVID process, we've all picked up new hobbies. So I think it would be a great time for Kristin to share possibly what her new hobby is. And then secondly, I want to ask Miss Salak what her favorite movie is.
That's hard.
My new hobby is chickens. I've been wanting to get chickens for a while. And honestly, there for a while during the pandemic, Jim would call me every couple of weeks, and one of the first things he would lead off was how the chicken's doing. So that was I just never have time for it. I'm never home enough between college and club season and recruiting, and so I got chickens, and I'm happy to say that they laid their first eggs this week. So it was a very exciting time. I ate some avocado toast with an egg last night. Oh, and why don't you steal some of Stan Camp's eggs for me so I can make it look like I have some more. But yeah, so it was really exciting. I screamed when I opened the coop up and saw it, and I freaked them out. So luckily we're getting eggs every day. But that's been my new hobby. I've really enjoyed it, and it's very soothing. So.
And now she's going to have us over for team breakfast so we can eat.
That's right. I texted the girls and let them know, and the first thing Sophia said was, okay, team breakfast at Coach's house next weekend. So it looks like I'm hosting a team breakfast.
Sophia, we'll close with that question to you. What's your favorite movie?
I would have to say my favorite movie is Burlesque with Christina Aguilera.
It's a good movie.
I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
Very good. Very good.
I've not seen that movie. That doesn't seem like a movie that Jim Abbott has probably seen either, but I'm not sure.
I think it's an incredible movie.
Okay. Well, I'd have to add it. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you very much for finding some time to join us, and of course the two coaches and Jim. We appreciate it. Hopefully some people got to see some stories behind what they normally see. We appreciate everybody coming out. We or logging in, I guess is a better way to say it. We hope to do this again in the spring. It would be really great if we could do it in person, but we will have to see. And of course, we will continue to communicate about events like the Sports Spectacular as it comes and schedules. Check ocusports.com to see the latest information on schedules and awards and accolades and other events we do. And log on to the online auction. It was in the chat, charityauction.bid. /OCU Sports. Surely you have received probably a lot of communication from me in the last couple of weeks about that. We appreciate you being here, and with that, we will end this. Thanks.
Thank you.